Hey everybody, welcome back. This is going to be episode 2 of the Buick Encore, where we put the rear trailing arm axle back in and get the new brakes and rotors on front and rear and kind of tidy everything up and get this thing back on the road with the rear trailing arm situation. And I want to explain to you guys kind of some things you should look for, some tips and tricks when you go to change yours and buy another one. Let's just say this is the third time that we would be completing this right here. The third time I didn't get on film, but the same night that I cut the video, I actually put it back up in there and videoed it. And now I'm just going to add all this together real quick to make the part 2. But I'll just go ahead and tell you guys right now, the axle that I went and got was no good. It was bent also. And the company, the place that I got it from, it was a salvage yard. They made an error and they came clean. They made it right. And hey man, you know, in my books, if you buy something from a salvage yard and they do you right on it and make it right, that, you know, that's awesome. You know what I mean? So yeah, it was a lot of work. You know what I mean? And I had to change that thing, like I said, 3 times. So the first one we took out, you seen it was bent. The second one I went and got, put that one in, it was bent. It was bent worse than the first one. It was a nightmare. But basically, the third one we got, I got it back in there last night, got it all back in, tidied up, you know what I mean, everything done. So I'll just show you the recording from the second time we did it, because I really didn't have time to do the footage. I was so angry and so upset at the situation that I just kind of hurried up, and I mean, I just threw it in there, you know. But we got our brake pads, we got all our parts, so we can get started and we can knock this thing out real quick. So let me show you the parts really fast here. So we got our parts. I usually use these TRQ rotors and brake pads. I've used them on quite a few of the vehicles that I fix and repair and stuff, and I've always had really good luck out of them. I think these ones here are going to be the front rotors. I think this box here, I opened this one, UPS left it out here for me. But basically now we got everything we need. It took about 4 days for them to get here. So we basically got everything we need now to get this thing done and get it back on the road. And at this point now, we can actually move on to something different. So, you know, I just, man, I'm just wore out with this thing. This one here has really just, it has kicked my hind end from top to bottom. So, the whole axle repair thing where it was bent, had to take it in and out 2 and 3 times, man, that's a nightmare. So when you go to buy an axle, a lot of times these salvage yards will get these cars from the same places that I get them from, you get them from, the same places. A lot of times when you purchase these parts, like if it's an axle per se, you know, make sure you look up the VIN number on the tag that they give you when you purchase these parts. If you're looking for like an axle or a rim, look up the VIN number online, or the, you know, the VIN number that comes on the tag. Look it up online and it'll show you the vehicle and how bad it was damaged. When me and the salvage yard talked about it, and I told them how I found out, I actually looked at the VIN number online and I said, man, you know, I got an account with, you know, Copart, IA, and a couple other ones. When I looked online at the VIN number, it showed the damages of that vehicle. And guess what, guys? It was hit in the exact same side that we took the one off on the left rear. And I mean, it was worse. When I put it on this time, the wheel was literally like this. I mean, it was bad. I'm like, holy cow, like, what did I do wrong here, you know? Did I accidentally switch the axles out and, you know, put the one that I took out back in there? I mean, it was a disaster. So basically, always look at your parts when you buy them. If you ever have to replace the rear trailing axle, look up the VIN number before you walk out of that salvage yard with it. Tell them you want the VIN number. You want to look it up to see what kind of damage was done on it, or unless it's in the vehicle and you actually look at it before you pull it out. That's always the best way to go. But let's go ahead and get into this video and get this thing back together, man, so we can move on to something different, because this thing has literally just, like, it has floorboarded me. So let's move on, guys. You gotta be kidding me right now. Piece of junk, man. This plastic right here is the problem. That's crazy how a piece of plastic pretty much wear you out. Get an axle in here. Freaking piece of plastic. Oh, God. Basically, this bolt right here behind this plastic flap right here was the roughest one right here. That thing was really bad because this plastic was right over top of it, even trying to get the thing back in there, but this socket keeps getting stuck on these bolts, and I mean, it's on there good too. It will not come off for nothing. So we're gonna have to try to beat it off with this rubber mallet. Try to get it off. Definitely ain't using that socket. I guess if you got one that's stripping on you, might be a good idea to use that one, but other than that, heck no. I will zip this one up in there. And that one's in. I will get to the other side. Guys, we'll be putting these bolts in up here now. We got one in already, but I gotta put the springs in real quick. And then we can do that. These are your springs right here. You can see them. You want to do, all you do is pull them back like that. When you take them out, I already put it back in, but if you look on the bottom of the spring, there's a rubber part on the top that goes on the top. There's the same rubber on the bottom and the top. So if you look there, this light's probably blinding you guys to death. Hang on one second. If you look, there's the rubber right here. It's already on the bottom. Just make sure you got your rubbers back on there. Then you push it in here like this, like that, and then if you look up here at the top, there's like a little dimple right there. Pop it right on that and your spring's back in securely and it can't come out. And then that's pretty much it for that. All right, this is your spring. Same thing, got your rubber on the bottom here. And this one on this here is already on here, so this will go on the top portion. So all you do is take your spring like that, how it's sitting just like that, and then we'll pop it in right here, just like so, and then you'll just kind of wedge it in here. It's a little stiff, but you'll get it. Oh, that one fell out. It's all right, we'll get it. Just like that. Now we got to tighten this bolt up so I can get the other bolt in there. Hopefully we can get it in there. This bolt's always the hardest to get in because of this metal thing right here. All right, now both your bolts are in now. This one and that one's in. Both these two bolts right here is in. Springs are in. Next step is to put the shocks on, but first we'll get over there and get that side tightened up. Make sure it's all straight and everything. The other one's back behind here if you can see it. That's the other one right there. That's the other bolt. That one's tight. This one here is a nightmare, man. I'm telling you. It's tight too. Alright. Alright, so we got those done. We're back. This is gonna be your it's like a little cube thing. It goes up for your calipers. And it's got all different, if you look, it's got those little notches on every side of it there. And what this little thing does is, it turns your calipers in when you got to twist them in. It's for different makes and model vehicles. It's like every corner has a different design on it almost. But it's what you use when you turn your calipers back in. Basically, that's your caliper right there. I want to show you guys something here really quick before I do this. See this, you can see this bolt right here? That bolt right there is a 10 millimeter. When you take this bolt out right here, you just take this out. And it'll stay in there because it's hooked onto the brake line right here. It won't go nowhere. The brake line kind of holds the bolt from falling out. Basically, you just twist that like that. And you pull your pads out of here, just like so. Pull them all apart just like that. Then you can take your caliper off. And then you can see that's your piston right there. That's your piston. So what you're going to do is take this little block here, figure out which shape does what. So basically that's going to be your tool. That's the end you're going to use, and they just go in there like that. You line them up. So if you guys can see it, if I'm doing it right. I hope you guys can see it. You just turn it like that, and it'll turn the caliper right in. Just like that. It'll turn that caliper right in there where it goes. Just keep turning until you get the caliper all the way in. That's pretty much it. Caliper's all the way in right there. We'll lay this up out of the way like that. This is going to be your new rotor. Remember that little screw, you got to put that back in. Rotor's going to go on just like that. Next thing you're going to want to do is put this little screw back in. I hate putting these back in, but it's the right thing to do, and you do not want to not put them back in, you know. So it's more professional, but I hate these things, and I think they're a bad idea, but they do go back in. So you screw them back in just like this. I'm going to put a little bit on them, but not much. Just enough to kind of snug them. I didn't put no Loctite on them, so they shouldn't get jammed. But as far as I'm going to go, I'm just going to tighten them because you don't want them, you know, loose in that. So now we can put the brake pads on. All right. Always remember when you put your brake pads in. There's your brake pads. This metal clip right here on this brake pad, it always goes on the inside where your caliper's at. It'll always be on the inside against your caliper. I'll show you here. See how that's on the inside there, that metal clip? You're going to slide this on like that. So see, when you got your caliper right there like I showed you, you turn this like that. You can see it. Turn it like that. Put your pads in. And just kind of close it down in there. Just like so. Move the pad back just a little bit. Now you can push your pads back against the caliper and back here. Then all you do is take them like this. You slide them on like that. Next thing you do is take your 15mm bolts and you bolt the caliper back on like this. That's your 15mm bolt right there. That's going to be your first caliper bolt. Put that in there like that. You'll grab the next one right here and it'll go right down here. Right here where my finger is right there. That's where it'll go right there. Your other 15mm bolt. It'll go right there. And run it through there. And you'll probably have to kind of wiggle the caliper back and forth to get it on. But there it goes. Let's get it started. Then you can take your ratchet and socket, kind of tighten it up. But that's where it's located at, right there where my fingers are right there. Once we get this on, these two bolts tidied up and get these in here, we'll move over here to this side because there's something I want to show you that we got to put in. The emergency brake cable has to be on after this, so you don't forget it. But there's a 10mm bolt right here. You can kind of see with my fingers. I'm moving in and out here. Let me move the camera back some. See this 10mm bolt? That's what you're going to put on to get this lined up. This is your caliper bolting onto the bracket, your caliper brackets. It's a 10mm. Make sure you guys can see it. It's right there. It's right there. It's a 10mm. And that's what tightens it up. It's hard to get a socket in there because of this brake line. This brake line won't let you kind of get nothing in there, so you kind of gotta use a wrench on it, but it usually turns pretty good by hand, but it's getting a little stiff now. If you can see it, right here is what you're going to work on next. That's going to be your emergency brake cable that bolts up to the control arm. That's got to be bolted up. This is going to be a 1/2 inch bolt, but this has got to come off to be able to lower this down and put it back up. In order to get your caliper kind of back out of the way, you got to take this off. So we'll get this back on really quick here. I'm trying to let you guys be able to see where everything goes so that there's no issues or nothing, but it looks like I'm going to have to move the camera to a different angle. Hopefully you guys can see where I'm working too. Try to get it there. This one's going to be a little stiff because we had to move the axle and all that good stuff, so it's probably going to be a little harder to get in, but we'll get it in there. These little gloves are nice, but they get hooked on everything you do. This sets back in there just like that. You said get a 1/2 inch wrench or a ratchet, socket, whatever. To tighten. Okay. Now, this side is pretty much complete. You got your screw in there. You got your brake caliper back on. You got your emergency cable all ran the way it should be, bolted back in right there. Springs are back in. Shocks are back in. That's your shocks right there. One's up to the top and back down. Your cable's back, everything's hooked back up like it should be. And then we're going to move on to the other side and get that done. So 1 second. Well, we forgot to put the tire back on. So we got to put the tire back on now. I can't go nowhere without a tire. So let's get the tire back on here. We'll be all set. Well, basically now, hopefully, everything's straight and true. That's what I wanted to see. See that wheel now? It's straight. The wheel's nice and straight now. All the way down. Just like the other one. That's what we were looking for the whole time, just like that. And even when you look at it right there, it's nice and straight. So let's go over to the other side. And it's got that screw in there that nobody wants to use. I sure don't want to. I hate these things, but we got to put them back in. So, you know, it looks professional and everything, but basically put this on first. Get your rotor on first. That's your little star tool. It's going to be a T30. Down like so. I'm just going to give it a light hit with the impact. Nothing serious, just a little bit. That's it. I didn't put no Loctite on it, none of that, so mechanic guys out there don't get upset. Because I know that those things can be a pain to get out. That's why they want to tighten it up. But I didn't put any Loctite back on it or anything like that, so at least it'll be easy to deal with. So now, next thing we're going to do is we got to put the brake pads on here. Before we can put anything together, we got to push this in like we did the other side. So you take your little box here, you see the ends on it, that it's got a whole bunch of different dimensions on it, whole bunch of different ones for different vehicles. But this is what we're going to be using right here. See how the two dots are corner to corner? You're going to take them in here like this, line them up just like so. You guys can see that. What you're going to do is turn them in just like that. Turn your caliper in. It jumps off on you. You can see me how I'm turning it. You just turn it in just like that. Turn it all the way in. They're going to jump out on you. Once you get them in, you can pop your new brakes on and you're done. They got to go in though. Okay, they're in all the way, as far as they go. See how they're right there? That's as far as they go in right there. Alright, see I got the caliper, it rolls up and down like that, kind of moves up and down, pivots. This slides right into your caliper. This is your caliper bracket, your pad's going this. Okay? You're going to roll it up like this. This pad will always go against the caliper. It's got this little metal piece on the end of it right here. So you'll take your pad like that. Like so. When you roll it down, it'll be the way the rotor is. It'll be like that. It'll be on the rotor just like that. You can see it. It'll be on the back side though. So you take it like this. It'll be upside down. There's little tracks in here if you can see them. See these little tracks? My fingers are little metal things. You just push them in there like that. And then at the top, you just slide it in. And that way your brake pads are on. It's upside down right now because we got to rotate it down and then put the bolt back in and I'll show you. This is your other pad. Same way. Put it upside down, just like so. Just like that. And this one, junk in here. You just slide that in like that. And it goes right in between these little metal clips right here. They just slide right in. They just slide in that way. See how they move around in there? And then what you do is you drop it back down over your caliper right here. Just like so. Might have to move your pads in just a little bit because you might have them too far back. You just want to go slow so you don't pull them all back out, you know what I mean? But then they'll just kind of drop right down in there. This one needs to go back just a little bit. These rubber gloves are nice, but they seem to get hooked on everything. There you go. Drop them back in just like that. Then this is your, get this bolt pulled back here. That's your 10 millimeter bolt I was telling you about. Remember that little 10 millimeter bolt right there? You just started here in a second. There it goes. You guys can get a better view. That's your bolt right there, that little 10 bolt. Just turn it to get it tight. Just like so. Take your 10 wrench. can't get a ratchet and socket in here because of this brake line right here is too tight. So but you can probably slide these pads into here with this bracket on. I don't see why you couldn't, really. Probably have to put this one in first up against the caliper, right? Then put this next one in. You could probably just drop them right in and just push them in with your fingers. These gloves, I like using these gloves to keep your hands from getting tore up, but they just kind of rip them all up and stuff. Well, it doesn't take much to do it. All right, now these bolts here, if you'll look, these bolts here, those are the 15 bolts that's going to bolt to the back of your axle tube back here. They bolt up. Like, this is your caliper, this is your brake pads, and this is your caliper bracket right here. Okay? Your brake pads go inside your caliper bracket. They bolt to your caliper, okay? And then the caliper is going to bolt back here to the rear axle tube. So I'll show you real quick here. So we'll get these over top of the rotor. Just like that. Now, these are your 15 millimeter bolts that you want to put in those caliper brackets that go to your axle tube. This is your bottom caliper bolt right here, and then your top one is going to be right here. That's the other 15 millimeter. You got one 15 here, and you got one down here. So make sure I got this one tight. Hard to get to. And your other one is going to be straight up here, right above it. It's actually right here. If you can see me move my finger, it's right there. So they're right there, and right there, two 15 millimeter bolts. It's nice and straight all the way down. Let's check this side. See the difference now? Straight all the way down now. All right, you guys, this is the front of the car here. This is the front wheel right here. I got it all up on jack stands. It's ready to go. We can start yanking the wheels off. I'll change the front rotor and pads on the driver's side, and then I don't want to bore you guys with the rest of it, but I'm sure you get the idea of how it's done. So we'll get this one done, and then I'll go ahead and cut the video and get it posted. But basically, this is going to be your driver's side right here. And it's the same way on the passenger side as it is the driver's side front. Same thing, same concept. So we'll go through this one, and then we'll go ahead and cut the video, and you guys will have insight of this whole thing, hopefully. So, all right, let's get to work. The only thing you will have to do when you do this is you will have to turn the wheel out. Like, this wheel will have to come this way, and I'll show you why. So go ahead and yank the lug nuts off. All right, so you got your rotor. You got that screw out of your rotor. Next thing you're going to want to do is pop this caliper off. This is your caliper. This is what holds your brake pad. You want to get this off. This is going to be a 10 millimeter right here to pull your caliper off that's got your brake pads in it. See where that goes on right there? It's going to be a 10 millimeter. There's one on top and one on the bottom down here. I'll show them you both. So you grab it, break it loose. And you can turn them out by hand. Usually when you break them loose, they'll just come out by hand just like that, and I'll show you here. So when you get that bolt out, see it coming out there? It's a 10 millimeter. Right there is where it went in at, right there on the bottom. Now, up here, same thing. Here and here, 10 millimeter. Pull them right out. That's 10 millimeter, same thing. Now, you can pull your caliper off. Sometimes, if they're a little sticky and they won't come off, take a screwdriver, put it in up here in the front, and just kind of pull back. It'll pop your caliper off if you want to do it that way. But that's where your caliper is right there. This piston comes out and pushes your pads in and out against your rotor. So we'll move this up here out of the way. Just like that. Now, this right here, this is going to be your caliper bracket. This is what your caliper bolts to, is this bracket right here. This is what holds the rotor and pads on right here so they can't come off. So these are your brake pads. All right, just take your screwdriver, put it back behind there, push them right out just like that. They'll just come right out. If you look at them pads, they actually ain't that bad, but I'm gonna go ahead and put new on it. I mean, what the heck, man, you know? I already got everything else torn down, I might as well. This is your caliper bracket right here. It's what your caliper sets on. This holds your brake pads inside of it. This is going to come off next. This is going to be a 18 millimeter. The bolts are going to be here and here. They're right behind these. They're back here. You see them right here? My finger is right there and right there. You'll see them as I take them off. Might have to use the breaker bar on them. Not really sure because they're probably tight. They look pretty rusty. Yeah, we're going to use the breaker bar. So basically get you a bar like this and just put it up like that and break them loose. Sometimes they're a little tight. So that's the bottom one. Go up here to the top one right here. Right there. Same way. Grab your bar, pull it up, just like that. Basically, that's your other bolt right there. Then you pull the caliper back off. It goes right there. Just like that. Pull it off. Set it aside. Now, set this up here. There's your rotor. It's stuck on there. Might have to take a hammer and kind of smack it because it might be stuck. Just take you a rubber mallet, kind of give it a hit. It'll come right back off. That's your old rotor. Let me get the new ones real quick. That's your new rotor. Remember that screw, that bolt right there? Put that right back on. What you know what to do is take your little screw like that. Put your T30 in there. Just like that. Push it in. Kind of bolt it back up. It's like that. We're just going to put a little bit on it, not much. That's it. You don't have to put like a breaker bar on it or tighten it up or anything like that. Just got to be, you know, somewhat tight, you know, because you got to get these off one day if you keep the car a long time, and you definitely don't want to have to fight with that thing. That'll make things very hard for you. Then you go back up to this one right here, where you can see it right there. Put it on there. I want this caliper to fall on me. Do this one the same way. All you do is grab your ratchet, give it a nice snug. That's your caliper bracket. It's done. Rotor's on. Now, next thing you do is get your brake pads in here. Show you that. I don't get sponsored by TRQ, but I want to tell you something. The cars that I put together and use these brakes, I never have any problems. These are very good brakes, and they're very reasonable priced, and I think they're a great product. So you be the judge and see what you think. But that's who I usually buy right there. So that brake pad goes against the caliper, the one with the metal tab on it. Put that back here on the back side back here. That will be where your caliper goes at. That will go back here. You take your pads just like this, just like the way they look, like that. And you're going to slide them right inside the metal little clips down there. And you'll feel them right there. They slide right in, just like that. They slide in that easy. That's the end of it. There's little metal things in here. And at the end of your brake pad, see that little thing? It slides. Next one. It's going to be just like that. Turn it. Brakes are on the inside against your rotor. Slide them in just like that. See how they slide in and out? Get that one pop back in there. There you go. Caliper. In order to get this caliper back over the new rotor and pads, you got to push this piston in. You got to push this piston in right here. You got to push this thing inward. Okay? Piston's got to be pushed in before it'll go down and clamp over top of the brakes and the new rotors. All right? So this tool isn't for the front. I just thought I would share it with you guys. See here? This tool isn't for the front here. It's only for the rear. All right? It'll be the rear brakes only where you need this kind of tool. And then some vehicles you don't need this. You can use a C-clamp or a there's a little tool that has like a plate on it, like a brake, and it pushes, and the plate goes across like that. The plate goes across like this. Like it's like on the back of the tool, it's got like a plate like this, and it goes across, and then there's just a little knob. You twist it, and it pushes the piston in. But we're going to do a different way today, just to show you guys the way you can do it if you don't have all that. So this is how we're going to do it today. Take your old brake pad, because you're not using it anymore, it's no good. Take your old brake pad like that. Take this C-clamp. All right? If I can do it and hold it. Let me get it set up, and then I'll show you what it looks like once I get it set up here. What we're going to do is, we're just going to turn this. It's probably going to fly off of me because I got to hold it while I'm doing it. So I don't want to drop the cap. Well, you can't see it anyway, can you? But basically, try to hold it. We're going to turn this clamp just like so. And if you watch, see this piston right here? The piston that's in here right here, it's going to go in. Just go slow with it and do it just like that. Back years ago, you know, there wasn't like new nice tools like there is today. I mean, I'm not that old, but I was always around a lot of older people that were, you know, mechanics or painters or, you know, different kinds of skill trades, you know. And I learned so much from those guys back then. And, you know, today in this day and time, like if I picture myself as being a younger person, like, you know, 15, 16 years old, there's not people out there that can teach you the ways that the old timers taught you back then. And I'm very grateful that I got to be around those days with the elders and stuff. I learned so much from them, and I miss them so bad because of the things that the ways that they taught you and stuff. And all you do is then is just pull that right back out of there like that. It's old pad, so you're not worried about it. Then you just bring it around like that, just like so, and you slip it back over your new brake pad and rotors. And then it bolts right back up. Remember your little 10 millimeter bolts? One goes down here. Give me a second, we'll get it in there. Seems to me that that bottom pin might be stuck right here. Sometimes the little things where you bolt them up at, they push out. really hard to get back in. There it goes. You put your 10 bolt right in there like that. That's your other 10 bolt. And that way your caliper's back on and it's over your brakes. And your brakes are pretty much done at that point. Once you tighten these up, you're pretty much all set to put your wheel back on. Caliper bolts, top and bottom. Just grab them and tighten them. I already tightened them up. But that's pretty much it. There and there. Caliper's back on. Brake pad's going here. There's your new rotors. So let's spin the rim around that way. We'll put the tire back on. Get the wheel back on. Alright, that's it for that side. Alright, you guys, I hope you enjoyed watching this video. It pretty much explains the rear axle tube, disassemble, reassemble, put the brake pads, rotors on the rear, and then you can see we got the rear done, and then got the left front done there. And I'll go over to the other side and knock that one out, but I don't want to bore you guys. I know that you already seen how to put the left front on, take it off, put it back on. But I'll knock that out real quick and get ready to go to work tomorrow, start trucking again. So you guys be safe, and we'll see you on the next one.